Hello and welcome to the new and improved, we hope, Establish the Bets. My name is Adam Levitan. Each Friday night this season, I'll be joined by Matthew Davidow to talk all things betting, sides, and totals throughout this season. And actually, I'm sure many of you out there probably don't know who Matt is. Let's just say I don't think that very many people, hardly any, are actually winning long-term on NFL sides and totals. But I know Matt has one. And I know Matt is winning, and I know he was one of the most successful sports bettors on the NFL before getting on the other side of the counter by starting the odds-making company Deck Prism, which recently merged with Huddle. So now Matt is out there, I believe, taking bets, taking big bets, taking on all comers. Anyways, Matt, how's it going tonight?
Thanks, Sam. Thanks for having me on. It's be fun this year.
All right, cool. I think maybe you should tell the people about your sports betting background. I didn't do a great job there. What were you doing in sports betting before, and what are you doing now?
I actually thought you did. So I've spent years betting, and then recently we got into the B2B business, which is better in some ways and a lot less fun in other ways. But we don't bet currently. However, I sure wish I did, and that's one reason I wanted to do the show.
Well, setting odds is kind of like betting, right? Because I mean, you're essentially, you can shade lines or move lines based on your opinions, right? Or is that not the right way to think about it?
Yes and no. So when I think about how to win betting, it's about finding one bet or an angle or something we have a real advantage on. And you're looking over and over again, gets pass. I don't care about this line. I don't care about that line, that game. Who cares? No idea who's playing quarterback for ULL. What's the difference? Oh, wait, Northern Illinois, their pace is going to be much faster this year. Let's bet over. That's betting. Whereas an odd service or bookmaking, you've got to defend all of the lines at all times. And anymore, it's not just the sides, the totals. Now you're defending player props. You're defending alternates. You're defending correlations that go into the same game parlays. So the same quant work that used to get used for, how do I do a better job at using my limited data to predict, UAB yards per play, now has to go into how do I lose a little bit less when established a run comes after my third string quarterback? How many rushing yards will they get prop? So it's a lot more about losing less than it is about finding like one really, really good bet.
Yep. Good point for sure. Before we get into it, just a couple quick reminders. If you like to bet sports, you should be grinding for the best line. I know Matt talked about it a ton in his book, which you should all check out. His book about sports betting. It's a must. But anyways, I mean, you have to have money on a lot of different books if you're going to be a bettor because you have to get to the best line. The good news is that these books will pay you literally a lot to sign up, and that includes our MGM offer. You can check that out on the offers sportsbook bonus offers page on our site. They'll give you a 1K free bet at MGM plus $100 coupon to use at ETR. All right. First thing that sticks out to me in week one here, Matt, there's so many home dogs. I mean, we're talking, I counted 9 home dogs this week, which is insane. It's really a big number. I think there's some coincidence in there just based on the matchups, but do you think there's anything more there? Is home field advantage dead in the NFL? Is it weakened? What do you think about all these home dogs?
But people like to talk about home field advantage going away over the years, and it has. I know. I remember last year on Rufus's podcast, them being very interested in the home field advantage. If it's going down, though, it's not much, and it's certainly not going to be the difference between like a dog and a favorite. I mean, let's just say, when I started NFL handicapping, I think that was 04, and the average home field was like 59.5%. And now I think I have it like 56%. So it's gone down, but not like it's going to like turn a pick into a road favorite or such. Most of these are just the bad teams are at home. And there's some bad teams this year too. I mean, the way the NFL has changed lately with the quarterbacks being more important than they used to be is definitely makes for more bad teams.
Yeah, I mean, the narrative is
a lot of trouble this year.
For sure. And also, the narrative is that, these guys travel in luxury planes and they stay in luxury hotels. Going on the road is not that big a deal anymore, which is the narrative, which I think why it's come down a little bit, as Matt said, but not a lot.
I kind of feel like they always stayed in luxury hotels and flew on generally the same planes. But I mean, I do think they think about it more. They think about the times they're traveling more. There's probably less of a chance of a hiccup. But I also think that home field advantage often comes down to familiarity and sleep. And those things don't change that much. Now, maybe with familiarity, the players are all on teams less than they used to be. Careers are shorter. Players change teams more. There's more traveling in college. mean, heck, there's some players that played for 2 or 3 different colleges. So maybe they're more used to different situations before they get to the pros, but you're still talking about like 3% over 17 years. It's not been that big of a shift.
Yeah, and also referee bias, I think, is always the thing that comes into play with home field advantage for sure.
Yeah, theoretically, that should be getting better, and they should be training the referees better.
Right.
Gone.
Yeah. There's been you pointed out something to me about illegal contact this year in the NFL, and I actually wasn't even aware of that. So, talk to me about what that change is, and if you think it'll affect the markets at all.
So the last couple of years, last year in particular, they called a lot less illegal contact, and this year they wanted to make it, their little point of emphasis, thing. And there was a lot of them called in exhibition. But even so, how much is it really going to matter, right? Like, let's just say there's an extra illegal contact game, but even 1.5 a game. What is that? Half a point? So probably not a lot, but we did see a lot of them called in exhibition. But then last night there might have been one. I think there was 0. There was a defensive hold, I think, but no illegal contact. So we'll see. And supposedly they're going to take away the more incidental of the roughing the passers, and that'll clearly take it the other way.
Yeah. Okay. Well, certainly things to watch. I mean, we've seen it, in betting markets, like when they had the replacement refs, there was a big change in the markets and everything. Certainly things to watch there are some of your soft skills when you're setting up your bets for the week. Let's talk about a few spots for this week. I think the Detroit-Philadelphia line is an interesting one. I do have the unabated odds screen pulled up here. We've seen it get blown out to 5 on Circa. There's 4.5s and 3.5s out there, but this was around 4, 3.5, a lot. Some movement there. What are you seeing on the Eagles and the Lions?
I think it actually is a little more push to the Eagles. I think that well, me and you certainly share some love for the Lions.
Yes. Restore the roar. Yes.
I think that the market as a whole and some of the bigger bettors out there, they're very much into the Eagles and maybe have the line. I'm a big fan of Brandon Thorne, but I was questioning how high he had that line offensive line. At first, I took it for complete face value and somebody that's obviously done a ton more work than me as a statement. I thought about it a little more the last few days. I was like, we'll see. But I do think the Lions have some upside. I do think the Lions are probably a good bet, but I think it's better to wait to shop, to look around Sunday morning. That's also a game. I mean, all these games are the home dogs, where particularly if you have outs that are eliminating players from playing at in some ways, they could have that, extra key half a point. So a lot of these games have gotten bet down from 7 to 6.5 and from 7.5 to 7. While 7 may not quite be as key of a number as it used to be, it's still half the 7's worth, somewhere, 2.5, 3%. Right. And if you're like, I generally lean to most of these home dogs anyway. I think if you shop Sunday morning, look around, find a 7 on a game with a lot of 6.5. So these, the Niners, the Bears, the Jets, find the best line on the Texans, and I don't think you can go wrong with those on Sunday morning.
Yeah. So you think that there's a chance that the Eagles could actually get blown out above 5? I mean, there's some 5.5. Actually, there's a 5.5 out there on DraftKings. It looks like.
I think there's pressure right now on the Eagles. There's people betting the Eagles right now, so I think if anything, it'll go that direction in the short term.
Yeah, restore the roar. There's certainly like the Lions as a home dog, especially if you can get it to like 6 or something. I mean, there's a big difference between. There's not a big difference between 4.5 and 5.5, right? But there's a big difference between 5.5 and 6, right?
Yeah, about 2% from 4.5 to 5.5. But the 6 is a meaty point these days with the way the overtime works.
Yep. All right. Houston and Indies. So this one opened, I think it opened like 8.5, and there was a lot of money on action on the Texans, which I think is right. I mean, I think the Texans are underrated, man. And I mean, you can call me crazy. I think Davis Mills and Pep Hamilton actually know what they're doing. They have reasonable weapons with Brevin and Nico. I think the offensive line has gotten better. And I mean, who are the Colts to be an 8.5-point favorite on the road? That's down to 7 now, though, where it's certainly less intriguing. I'm interested in maybe if it can get to 7.5. What do you think about what's going on with the Colts and Texans line?
I mean, where does it go from here? I don't know. There's definitely sharp money on the Texans, especially above 7. Will people take 7? Like, I don't think so. I'm not big on the Colts this year. I'm not big on Matt Ryan, although there's been reports out of training camp that he's been very, very good. Now, when you have a quarterback who's never been fast and now he's older, I do think there could be a big difference between practice speed and game speed. I definitely remember, the late Manning years, and I mean, not to mention Roethlisberger last year. And actually, could be interesting. I think we could see Brady and Aaron Rodgers start to show a little age this year. Their offensive line, a little bit worse, They lost a very good defensive coach. You know, I like under in this game, but there's been some people I respect. I think Adam Chernoff, who has a very good, particularly subjective opinion, liked over in this game. Maybe look for a good under late as well. Definitely a spot the shop.
Yep. Okay. Let's go to Dallas and Tampa. That's gonna be the Sunday night game. I mean, there's gonna be a ton of eyes on this game on Sunday night. We see it pretty painted across the market right now at 2.5. Any sense of where that line's going? What do you think about Tampa, Dallas?
But this is maybe a good example of one of what I consider the real keys to being successful at gambling, which is don't be stubborn. So this was like the game when I did the work for the article, the Establish a Run article on the
Win totals, yeah.
Season wins. And then some further work. I really I feel like I like the Cowboys every year, but I really like the Cowboys. I also think Tampa's lost a number of key players on the line. Brady is 45. I thought he was worse last year. I think he could be a lot worse. She just missed 13 days or whatever of training camp, doing things that 45-year-olds do and not, things that NFL quarterbacks do. And I really thought, I was like, wow, the Cowboys are definitely going to close favor here. And Tyron Smith got hurt. Mm-hmm. and one of our traders moved the line towards, as he should have, towards Tampa. And my first reaction was, whoa, don't do that. Dallas is going to close favorite. I told him, I was like, whoa, I think Dallas is going to close favorite in this game. Well, I'm not right. There's clearly lots of money on Tampa. Dallas is short receivers. The offensive line has supposedly not been very good. People like this Tampa defensive line a lot, maybe more than I do. I also think Tampa's loss of Bowles is a big deal. I know he's still there. He's the head coach, but there's a big difference between being in the trenches with the week-to-week strategy and tactics for being the coordinator and being the head coach, which in my mind is really a much more of a managerial position than a tactical coach. I think Bowles is a great tactical coach. I really like the Cowboys, but I also think it's another one. Wait, there'll be more Tampa money. I don't think there's going to be too many non-Tampa recreational bettors Sunday night, and that's definitely a spot. The Sunday night lines are definitely one where if the recreational players are playing one side, it'll be hard to move the other way. There'll be threes on Sunday night for Dallas, and you should take them.
Yeah, there'll be threes on Sunday night. I agree with that. These public games certainly are going to get pushed out for sure. I think that's a sharp point. One of the I have two more quick ones to ask you about here. I want to ask about Chicago, San Francisco, because I mean, how much weight should we really have on this West Coast to East Coast? A West Coast team with Trey Lance making, just named the starter. Jimmy G's back. They don't have George Kittle. They're going to play a 1:00 game in Chicago, who everybody has left for dead. But this line went the other way. It was 7.5. Now it's 6 on Bookmaker. And there's a lot of 6.5s out there. And so what do you think about that whole West to East thing? And also when nobody's giving nobody gives the Bears a chance in hell to win this game, but they're only a 6-point dog on Bookmaker.
I mean, 6 points in the NFL is I think a pretty big deal as far as
sure.
That's a decent favorite. The games don't have that many possessions. The players aren't that far apart. The Bears are bad. As much as I like Fields and I think he has a chance to be a good quarterback, he's got a ways to go. Their offensive line is terrible. Their defense is terrible. I don't think a lot of their coaching. I don't think a lot of the Niners either. I'm not a Lance fan. I mean, they have to play him at this point. You can't trade half your draft stock and draft him number 3 and then not play him. But that's even more reason to think that he's not going to be that good. He was very bad in his starts last year. I mean, his accuracy and could never get off his first read. And I didn't see any different in the preseason. Yeah, Shanahan's going to draw up a couple of plays. Juszczyk, I get the people confused. He'll be wide open down the sidelines at least once. I mean, obviously not this game, but Kittle. But yeah, I'm not a fan of the Niners. I definitely think picking off a good number on the Bears is a good play.
Okay. Last one that I wanted to ask you about was the Jets and Baltimore. Yet another home dog where nobody is giving the Jets a chance in hell to win this game whatsoever. And my take is always, if you go into a bar and 99 people out of 100 say, oh, what are you talking about? Of course the Ravens are going to win. The Jets are usually a good side, but that's just probably fish thinking. What do you think about the Ravens-Jets line? We're seeing mostly 6.5s out there now.
I mean, same thing. I think the right line's a touch lower. I think another one where, shopping's going to be huge, and say the difference between a 6.5 and a 7, Sunday morning. There is a chance with this game that Sunday morning is like 5.5, 6. The Ravens have injuries on defense. The Jets are either a sneakily talented team. I mean, for one thing, I think the Jets had the most guys picked up off waivers, which tells you one of two things. Either it's a pretty deep team talent-wise, or they can't judge talent. I think with the Jets, both are a reasonable possibility. I think Flacco definitely gives them a better chance than
Right.
than Wilson, and I think the market agrees with that as well. Wilson's not very good.
That was my take.
Mm,
My
not
take was
Flacco,
that
I
as
mean.
soon as Flacco got announced to start, as soon as Wilson was out, that the line moved a half point. I mean, people don't want to hear it, but the market respects Flacco more than Wilson.
And that, you know what, you point out a really good way to like make good bets. Anytime there's an announcement of a player, and either the player's not really worth in the real market what maybe the books at Quick Move are going to think that he's worth, or is already priced in. There's plenty of books, there's plenty of people moving lines that don't necessarily know what's priced in and what's not at certain times of the day. Remember, I mean, the folks take a lot of staffing, and while some of these guys are very, very good, you there's not as much probably information being shared in the past as you would expect. And there's definitely times where a line is going to get air moved on information that just shouldn't get air moved or something that's priced in. So, like, anytime you see like something like that, like in that case, I think Slack was already way priced in and doesn't matter. So, if the line was 7, all of a sudden you see a book go from 7 to 7.5, well, that half point is just free to you. You know that no other bettor has already seen that 7.5 and passed because you're the first one to it. And oftentimes, I mean, that move is, you know, not actually worth anything because, again, it's priced in, or the player's not actually worth anything.
Well, this was awesome. You know, we can't keep Matt too long. He needs to get back to sweating his $1 million on UL Lafayette or whatever he has. So, so we can't keep him too long here. He has to adjust the live lines on the college football games going on tonight and not get killed, right? So,
Thanks, Adam. I appreciate it.
all right. Well, this is good. We'll be back every Friday night at this time. Come back and check it out. We'll talk through a few games, some lines, some things going on in the sides and totals market. For Matthew Davidow of Deck Prism /Huddle, I am Adam. Good luck, everybody.